Greetings and salutations, and welcome to Illegitimate Legends, the show where I like to talk about some of the more unusual League of Legends builds. Okay, I'm going to start this week a little bit differently. I'm going to start by talking about this build's weaknesses. See if you can guess what I'm doing without looking at the screen in the background. Shh. Shh. Okay, so this build is vulnerable to enemy supports who have heals, and general sustain on the enemy AD carry. Additionally, this build has a serious gold shortage. Support Yorick, for those of you who hadn't figured it out. That's right, our wonderful little gravedigger is heading bottom lane to support allies, with fantastic slows. That cannot be understated. The slows in Slow Ghost are ridiculous. As well as the ability to make backup copies of your AD carry, you know, just in case. This build is all about the harass. Like, it has very little else, particularly in the very, very early game. Just constantly throwing your green ghost at the enemy champion, leveling it up when you can, and just doing that damage. You can kick them out of lane and massively reduce their farm. A lot of enemy champions will attack the ghost to get rid of it, rather than attack minions. Every shot they put into your ghosts is CS missed by them. Consequently, you can have the enemy down 20, 30 CS by the time they return to base for the first time, just compared to your own AD carry. However, like I said, if they've got a high sustain lane, eventually you're just going to be rendered redundant by that. You reach a point where it doesn't do enough damage, and because you're not building much in the way of AD, your ghosts don't hurt so much themselves. It's mostly the green ghost explosion and the slow that is actually useful. So it's a little sad, but the mid game, you are almost useless. The build works, and this is my version of it, there's quite a few versions. The build works as follows. Get a Philosopher's Stone first, or rather, the two items that build into it, and then wards. Get that Philosopher's Stone finished when you first return to base, and buy yourself a Goddess tier. You need a lot of mana. Like, metric tons of mana are required to sustain this build. Once you got those two, buy your first tier shoes, and then get a Cage's Lucky Pick. You're not going to be CSing, and because of Yorick's natural, just because of his ability set, he can't actually get that many assists. Even when he's actually assisting, well, no, that's not entirely true. It's just, you won't get many assists because all your abilities are relatively short range and small area of effect. So just don't expect to be getting much gold from anything, which is why I get 2 gold getter items very, very early. That done, buy yourself captain shoes. I don't care what your second tier is, but your third tier, get early and get captain shoes. That will increase the speed of your ghosts. Your ghosts will go from, I'm gonna chase you, now you're getting away, to, come here. They will get right up in the enemy's grill very, very quickly and just almost double the usefulness of the ghosts, particularly the slow ghost. You can actually chase down enemy champions with your slow ghost, then once you've got it, apply your Shard of True Ice onto the slow ghost, double slowing the enemy, allowing your team to catch up and score the kill. I've done it. It happens. Don't deny it. Like I said, from Captain Shoes, go into Shard of True Ice. Then, you've got to go into either the Runic Bulwark, or start getting your Sightstone, Ruby Sightstone. You're starting to get an inkling of what's wrong with this build. That's the fact that you don't get the Runic Bulwark until very late in the game, simply because you don't have any gold. And you need those other items early. Sure, you could postpone the Cage's Lucky Pick and the Shard of True Ice, but that's postponing everything. And the amount of extra effectiveness that extra slow is, trust me, you'll miss it. So, you suddenly find yourself lacking the item which is openly accepted by Riot to be one of the most overpowered items in the game. You can still win with it, don't get me wrong, there's a lot you can do to keep going, but you end up with a lot of relatively low tier items for a very long time. Hence, middle game, terrible. Once you have both your Sightstone and your Runic Bulwark, words will come to me. Once you've got both of them, your next step is to finish your Elise's Miracle, or get that at the appropriate time because you need it to explode. And then your final item, your 7th item, God, I love the Elise's Miracle for that. 7th item is the Banner of Command. Extra damage from your little minions, as well as extra AP for the slow, as well as super minions to aid in the push. Super cannon minions, that is. Super minions doesn't work. Makes me a little sad, but it just doesn't work. That's it. That's the build. And those are the weaknesses with it. Its strengths are that its harass is ridiculous, and you can deny so much farm. Like, endless farm denial from this build. You will also never run out of mana, particularly if you bring Clarity. Despite the fact that I've said that this build has mana troubles, or rather, Yorick has mana troubles, if you get this build, you won't suffer from that. You've fixed the problem already. It's basically. That's it. That's Support Yorick. If I were to rate it as a build, I'd give it probably 2.5 stars out of 5, obviously. Like, it can work, but it only works under certain conditions, and you don't control those conditions, the enemy team does. When it is working, however, you can get your AD carry quite a few kills, because you just drop the enemy team so low. And feeding the AD carry wins games. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next week with another Illegitimate Legends. Thank you, and good night.